Hi, 10th literature students. So I want to talk to you guys in a little bit more detail about figurative language and sensory imagery because you need to include both in your narrative to make a high grade on this assignment. So first of all, figurative language, you need to include 4 different types of figurative language, which is a metaphor, a simile, personification, and foreshadowing. You need at least one example of each that are really effective and kind of bring your narrative to life, basically. So I want to quickly go over the definition, an example of each, so that you guys kind of know what I'm looking for. Of course, you will come up with your own examples. Please don't use my examples. Come up with your own examples that you will actually put in your narratives. So a metaphor is, of course, a comparison that does not use like or as. So an example of that could be, we were walking skeletons. We, the Jews, are being compared to skeletons, okay? So, and it doesn't use like or as. A simile is a comparison that uses like or as. So I could just simply change that sentence to, we were like walking skeletons, right? And so I use the word like. It's still comparing the Jews to skeletons, and it works. Of course, in your narrative, you'll want to include 2 different examples. Like, you won't want to include the same example twice. I just wanted to, show you that to kind of show you the difference between the two. Personification is giving human characteristics to something that is not non-human. So if you said the wind howled in the darkness, wind can't actually howl, right? Can't actually say anything out loud. That's a human characteristic. So again, giving something that is not human characteristic. Foreshadowing is when you give a hint or a clue of something yet to come. So if you had a sentence that said something like, I knew in my gut that something was not right, that tells us that something bad is probably going to happen later. It kind of gives your reader a clue or a hint that something bad's gonna happen. So those are, again, just some examples. What you guys are going to be doing is you guys are going to be putting an example of a metaphor in your narrative, an example of a simile in your narrative, personification, and foreshadowing. So you'll have an example of each. And remember, with your rubric clearly states that it has to enhance the narrative. So make sure that you're not just putting like an awkward, just I need to get a metaphor in there, so I'm just gonna like throw it in there. It should be purposeful, and it should really describe something in a lot of detail that helps your reader understand your situation and your hardship in a little bit more detail. Okay. All right, I also want to talk to you guys about sensory language, because that was a weakness in a lot of your narratives last time. So in order to kind of teach you guys this, here's an example of text without sensory details. So here it is. Grandmother Workman reached over and grabbed her grandson's arm. He was nervous because the staircase was so steep, but she leaned against him and they began to climb. So this is the beginning sentences of a paragraph that describes a boy helping an elderly woman up a flight of stairs. This scene is pretty simple, but again, it leaves the reader with lots of questions. Without the inclusion of sensory details, the writing seems sort of vague and non-specific. So here is that same sentence, or that same paragraph, but with lots of sensory details, okay? And I'm going to read it to you guys, and then we're going to kind of break down the different sensory parts, and then talk about how to do this in your narrative. So here's the same paragraph, but with lots of sensory details. Grandmother Workman lurched over and grabbed the pale skin of Randall's thin forearm with her leathery hand. The folds and creases beneath her skin coiled themselves out like electrical wiring, like the bloated, roughly textured relief map of the world that his mother just posted above his bedside table. Randall looked ahead toward the winding spiral staircase, fidgeted with a small hole in his baseball jersey, and bit his lip. His mouth filled with a sweet coppery taste of blood as she leaned in closely toward him, breathing her hot breath on the damp hair at the base of his neck. She smelled of wet cigarettes and bacon. As they slowly climbed the long, steep staircase, the only sound was his grandmother's labored breathing and the mournful creak of the wooden stairs. All right, so as you guys can see, these paragraphs are so different, right? This is, again, they're both describing a boy helping an elderly woman up the flight of stairs, but this really helps you picture what's going on and what everything looks like. So I want to kind of break down the examples and kind of talk through it. So some side examples are lurched over and grabbed the pale skin of Randall's thin forearm with her leathery hand, and fidgeted with a small hole in his baseball jersey and bit his lip. So both of those really help you sort of picture visually what's going on. A sound example is that last sentence, the only sound was his grandmother's labored breathing and the mournful creak of the wooden stairs. That's an example of personification in there too, right? The mournful creak. They can't actually, a staircase can't be mournful. So that's another example of personification. But again, it's sound. You can really, hear the labored breathing, right? You can hear the creak of the wooden stairs. Smell example, she smelled of wet cigarettes and bacon. So that's what his grandmother smelled like. Touch example, breathing her hot breath on the damp hair at the base of his neck. So that really helps you, picture, like, kind of feel that, the hot breath, the damp hair makes you feel, kind of what he's going through, right, as he's holding his grandmother up or helping her up the stairs. Taste example, his mouth filled with the sweet coppery taste of blood. Okay, so again, maybe he was biting his lip, right? So it sounds like he sort of bit so much into his lip that he made his lip bleed and he could taste the blood in his mouth. So I want you guys to incorporate lots of sensory details into your narrative. Now, does every single paragraph in your narrative have to include sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch? No, okay, it doesn't. But you should be describing in a lot of detail what your main character feels, what they see, what they are going through, right? Their emotions. You can also describe like a bodily sensation. So like, what are they feeling? Maybe sweat is pouring down their forehead. Maybe their heart is beating really rapidly, right? But to show their nervousness. So just make sure that you guys are trying your best to incorporate lots of sensory imagery. What I would do if I were you is, as I'm writing the narrative, think to yourself, how could I describe this in more detail so that my reader can sort of picture what's going on? Have I described what things look like? Have I described what sounds that my main character is hearing, right? Have I described, and you don't have to necessarily include taste, right? Or, you don't have to include every single sense, but you do need to include multiple senses. So like, try to include at least 3 or 4 senses into your narrative. Have you really described, touch, what your main character is sort of feeling, right? What they're going through? Have you described the body sensations? Have you really explained, their fear or their terror in ways that you're not just saying I was nervous, but you're actually describing what that looks like. Um, so again, this is just an example to kind of get you guys started, but make sure that as you are writing your narrative that you're including lots of sensory details. Remember, with your narrative rubric, okay, it says effective sensory language details throughout that appeals to lots of senses, very descriptive. So every single paragraph, when you're writing your narrative, make sure that you're really describing what your what your person, your Jew during the Holocaust, is going through, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, what they're seeing, what they're tasting, touching, smelling, hearing, all those things. Um, Also make sure that you include those examples of foreshadowing, personification, simile, and metaphor, and that it enhances your narrative, or it helps us really understand the hardship better. So hopefully that example of sensory language, as well as the examples of figurative language, kind of gets you guys going and helps you understand what I'm looking for. I will make sure I post this to Teams so that you guys have it. If you have any questions at all about your narrative or what to do, please let me know. Again, on Monday, the first 200 words are due, and then on Tuesday, the next 300 words are due. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I look forward to reading your narratives.